Marissa Cranis for Salesforce Live, and I have a very special interview for you today. The first time on the Salesforce Live stage together, Vala, Afshar, and Tiffani, Bova. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
So let's talk about this. Both of you have such a huge impact on the Salesforce community. Everyone out there knows who you are. How is this the first time, and how am I so lucky to have you both? Vala.
I'm just glad to be sitting next to a colleague who's a Wall Street Journal best-selling author,
Heck yes!
keynote speaker, influencer, but more importantly, just a good person. So, I learned from her. She's a mentor. And, I think our Salesforce Ohana is very lucky to have Tiffani Bova as part of our family.
Can you beat that, Tiffani?
So I can actually. So when I was making a decision to come to Salesforce, the first person I called was Vala. So, we go way back. He's been instrumental in a lot of things in my career. It's a pleasure to work with him. And, and I learn from him every day as well.
Thank you.
It blows my mind that this is the first time in the many years you've been part of this ecosystem that you've been on the Salesforce Live stage together. So
thank you for making this happen.
a lot of, hey guys, will you do this? Well, thank you so much for doing that.
Of course.
So for those that don't know, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your positions and how you do impact the Salesforce community, the Ohana. Tiffani, tell me a little bit more.
Well, so I have the absolute pleasure of getting the opportunity to travel around the world and meet with customers and partners and hear how they're really leveraging technology in new and innovative ways. And then I get the opportunity internally to work with our research team to figure out what are the things and the trends that are coming next, and how do I marry those two things together? The stories from our customers, sort of the trends we see in the market, and really pulling that into something that they can see as more of an actionable way forward. So it's really just an honor to get the opportunity to spend time with all of our customers.
And your background as an analyst really allows you to have those connections and understand the trends that are moving forward in the industry.
Yeah, we share this in common. We both love to be storytellers of sort of what the future may look like and what the art of the possible is. And I think being an analyst for a decade helped me to understand the numbers a little bit better, and also to be able to look for patterns in a lot of touch points that I get over the course of weeks and months and years. So it's just been fantastic to see it more up close now in the Salesforce Ohana and ecosystem. So it's been great.
Wonderful. Vala, tell me a little bit how your role maybe differs and is similar.
I've been with Salesforce for a little over 3 years, but my journey with Salesforce started in 2003 when my company became a Salesforce customer. So for 12 years, we really transformed our business, so much so that I wrote a book about how Salesforce impacted the growth, culture, talent, everything about our company.
That's a great resume when you're applying to Salesforce right there.
Pretty much. I can't outdo that one.
I think I was interviewing for the role for a decade plus. But the reason why, we celebrated our 20th year anniversary. The company was founded, as you know, March 8th, 1999. So in 2003, it wasn't this big Salesforce, one of the most influential companies in the world. But what has stayed true for the 16 years that I've been part of Salesforce, mostly as a customer, now as employee, is this culture of gratitude, this beginner's mindset, where you have a certain level of humility, where no matter how big and successful your company, we recognize there's always more smarter people on the outside than inside of Salesforce. So as two researchers, storytellers, and fortunate to say trusted advisors, we love learning from our customers, our partners, our communities. And all these stakeholders ultimately shape not just what we build, but who we become. And that's just awesome.
That is awesome.
It's just awesome. You know it. Obviously, you speak to all of our stakeholders at some of the biggest, best events that we have. So it's just a privilege. And the commonalities are a lot, but as a fellow Gartner analyst, the business acumen and technology acumen, that combination is, she's a Navy SEAL of thought leaders, a triple threat. For me, it's just continue to learn. I think the most important skill in the fourth industrial revolution, and we both recognize and promote this all the time, is to stay teachable.
Right.
You have to continue to learn. And that means you have to be, outward looking, you have to be humble, you have to be interested, you have to have empathy, and you have to stay hungry.
I love it. One of the things that we've been learning more recently is that customer expectations are changing. This is something that both of you have spoke to extensively in our State of the Connected Customer report that recently came out through Salesforce. I want to talk about this. Recently, today at Connections, we announced the new Salesforce Customer 360, and this is really related to the expectations of customers. Let's talk a little bit about how they are changing. Tell me what you've been seeing, Vala.
All business leaders, from CEOs to CIO, CMO, Chief Revenue, Chief Experience, they all recognize that every digital transformation starts and ends with the customer in mind. And new knowledge is the most valuable commodity on earth. The more you know, the more loyalty, the more long-lasting relationships, the more trust you can establish with your stakeholders. What the survey and what you refer to is an 8,000 consumer and business buyer survey. For the first time, 84% of these respondents said that the customer experience is perhaps as important or more important than the product or service that you provide. So customer experience is the product. And so leveraging into technology is important, but we know that culture, talent, process, and technology, those are all the elements you need to be able to build a long-lasting relationship. We saw in our keynote with State Farm, with Indiana Pacers, all of our trailblazer customers are really working hard to learn as much as they can about their customers.
And Tiffani, one of the things that people are really utilizing to learn more about their customers is this vast amount of data and information access that we have now about our customers. Tell me about how that plays a part.
Yeah, and so many will say that data is the new oil, which I like that comment. There is no shortage of data, that's for sure. But until you analyze the data and sort of put it through the refinery using analytics and then using the intelligence to power the business, data for data's sake is not that interesting, right? But I think this is two-sided. You have data from the customers, but you also have data from the employees. Delivering compelling experiences has to start with the employees and empowering them to do what's right for the customer. So it's kind of employee first and customer centric, to make sure that they have everything they need. So the data at their fingertips, sharing that data across silos, breaking down those walls that may already be there, understanding the data in real time allows them to deliver that compelling experience. So I think that data is the Achilles heel of being able to deliver compelling experiences, but you have to be willing to analyze it. More importantly, you have to be willing to use it.
Very true, very true.
Yeah, and you mentioned the term storytelling. I feel like you can't make a compelling argument with data unless you're able to bring in that storytelling element. And I know that's a huge part of your job, Tiffani. Yeah,
and I would say this, making data tell a story just at its pure form is really difficult.
It is.
Like if you walk into an executive and say, here's all these reports and all these statistics, it doesn't tell potentially a compelling story. So you have to be able to bring the data alive in a way, in a single interface, or in a way that employees then can action that data. So making data actually tell the story on your behalf, not the story you want it to tell you, but the story that it is telling you, and sometimes the reality hurts. Sometimes it's what customers aren't liking about the services you're delivering, and those are just as important as the things they do like about that. But bringing data to life and making it actionable for the executives as well as for employees to make the right decisions is what's really important.
It was Brené Brown who I believe said, good stories are data with a soul.
Oh, I like that.
So I think part of great storytelling, and I also think part of great narratives. Stories are typically about someone else. Stories have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But a narrative is open-ended, a narrative is inclusive. So I think when we see some of our great keynote speakers, they're talking about transformation in terms of a narrative, and I think that's a really powerful skill to develop as well.
But one thing that is top of mind right now is that some of these narratives, some of this access to information causes breach of trust.
Yes.
How are companies really working to build that trust or build back that trust? And how are the connected customers reacting to some of these breaches of trust?
So what we saw in the connected customer research actually was two sides to the same coin. One, customers want to work with brands that they trust. and they will walk away from brands that they no longer trust.
Right.
So being transparent in whatever you're doing with a customer's data is super important. Giving them the access to make decisions about what data they want you to have and how they want it to be used is really, really important. And so I think, trust, there's been a crisis of trust in businesses lately. And so, with this great bunch of data we have, like you just mentioned, and that access to it and capturing it on multiple platforms and channels, it's super important that brands take the time to be very transparent and communicate what they present from a security standpoint, but more importantly, how they view trust between the two entities.
Trust is a verb. So your actions need to speak to your core values and guiding principles. Our core values start with trust, customer success, innovation, and equality. We have a Chief Equality Officer, Tony Profit, because we celebrate and embrace equality. We know that in the age of algorithms, and algorithms are simply opinions codified, it's important to understand and celebrate the importance of diversity. We also have, for the first time, and I don't know many companies that have this, a Chief Ethical and Humane Use of Technology, Paula Goldman.
Paula, she's
yes.
wonderful.
So Paula, Tony, our executive teams, and frankly every member of the Salesforce Ohana understands that not only trust is our core value, but we have to live by those core values and guiding principles, and we have to show it, not just in the products that we develop, but the way we service our customers and the way we build communities.
Well, thank you both so much. I trust both of you, and luckily, so do our customers. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to get you both on stage at the same time. This is epic. We'll do it again at Dreamforce.
This was a bucket list item.
Yeah.
It's a privilege.
I have checked the box on hanging out with Vala on
Same
stage
here.
today. Thank you so
Awesome.
much for having us.
Thank
you very much. Thank you.
And thanks for checking out Salesforce Live at Connections.